Under exponents. I really didn't look at the book. Maybe it isn't under exponents. Oh yeah. The power property of exponents. What do you suppose the power property is?
The power of the like second power.
There are 3 properties of the powers. Oh, here we go. Let's do this. Let's write this down. 3 properties, ladies and gentlemen. 3 properties. Property number 1 is what the book calls the power to power property. Power to power. Were any of you cheerleaders back in the day? And there's the power cheer. What does that mean, power to power? That means this. If I had x to the 5th power, and then that whole thing was to another power, a power to a power, what happens there? Now, the book won't give you numbers. They'll give you letters because numbers, this is only good for this case. But what if it said this? X to the m power to the n power. What does that equal? Good question. Let's investigate what this would really be. Does anybody have a thought as to if I were to simplify this, what it would be?
X to the 7th.
X to the 7th power is on the table. Who wants? Thank you, Zachary, for volunteering. Who is jumping on the X to the 7th bandwagon? Come on, people. Don't leave Zach stranded out there in the middle of the sea all by himself. Good. Thank you for that. Somebody must have a, Lauren, you must have a different opinion if you don't agree with Zach's.
Sure. Yeah.
So you do agree? Well, why are you not raising your hand in support?
I don't agree, but I don't know what I'm saying.
Oh, so indifference is what you are.
Yeah.
Alright, or it's X to the 25th! Zach comes up with a new answer. Somebody who's...
I'm saying
Wait, you can't go with every answer, Zach. You're going to go down with the You're going opposing?
Yeah.
You're saying it's what? Oh,
X to the
X to the what?
22nd. I don't know.
Now, children, nobody's right so far. Just be quiet. Nobody's right so far. I don't get the difficulty in this, but let's think about what this equals. X to the 5th to the 2nd power means you have x to the 5th times itself. You have 2x to the 5th times itself. And what does x to the 5th mean? It means you have 5x's times themselves times another 5x's times themselves. Which means the actual answer is, which nobody volunteered, Lauren, x to the 10th. So what do you suppose x to the m to the nth power would be? Look at some of you do catch on to this. X to the mn. When you have when you have a power to a power, the exponents get multiplied together. Powers to powers, they get multiplied together. So if you had a to the 7th power to the 6th power, would be the same as a to the 42nd power. Or here, how about this? Well, no, we'll do that later. So 2 to the 3rd power. Oh, sorry. Well, what's that? 2 to the 2nd power to the 3rd power would be 2 to the 6th power. Oh, we'll figure it out. That's what it is. So there's property number 1. So far, we're 0 for 1 as far as anybody being able to figure it out. The second one is, which I don't really do at a C in this class, the power of a product property. Wow, how about that? Number 2, the power of a product, which means this. What if, in parentheses, I had x times y, and that was all to the 3rd power? I'll just tell you this because I can't really bear to have you guessing wildly. Powers to powers, when you have a power to a product, okay, it is a little like the distributive property in that this is the same thing as saying Well, I guess it makes sense, because what does xy to the third power mean? It means you have xy times xy times xy, which if you simplify that means you have x to the third power y to the third power. Which means when you have something like this, you have to really distribute out the exponent to everything in the parenthesis. Distribute out the exponent. So, with that being said, let's look at a little example that maybe combine. Oh wait, so wait, Zach. Going back to our letter thing, because this is what the book would tell you the property is. This would be x, y to the m property, or m power, would equal what? X to the m, y to the m. This is what the book would give you, just because you have to use letters to show everything. Now back to this. So, what would this be? 3x to the fifth y to the third power. If I asked you to simplify that, who wants to take a shot at it? Zach, are you going to put it all out there again, even despite all these people abandoning you in your time of need?
27.
27.
And x to the, what is it? X to the 8th and y to the 3rd.
So close and yet so far. Anybody want to up the ante on that? Madison.
3x to the 15th, y to the 3rd.
3x to the 15th, y to the 3rd. Everybody jumping on her bandwagon? Oh, no. Oh, good. Congratulations. Somebody's going to say, Joseph.
3x to the 8th, y to the 3rd.
3x to the 8th, y to the 3rd. Anybody want to go? Cassie, you look like you disagree with all of them.
9x to the 15th and y to the 3rd.
Everybody is getting ever so much closer. We get a chance to think about that again. Cassie? 9? Chase?
27 to the 15th power to the y.
Right. If we use the exponent to exponent power, I'll write it out for you. It is 3 to the 3rd power, which is not 9, it is 27. X to the 5th to the 3rd power is x to the 15th power, because powers to powers get multiplied. Y has a power of 1, so it's y to the 3rd. So it should have been 25 x to the 15th, y to the 3rd. 27, did I say 25? How are we not getting, this is more fun math than you should ever be. And then there's one more rule. The power of a quotient property. Oh boy. New page? Turn the page. The power of a quotient. Power of a quotient. Quotient means what, ladies and gentlemen? What is quotient? It's a division problem. And in math, division problems, you too often don't think about this, but it should be a fraction. What if it's x y over y to the m? I'll give it to you the way the book would give it to you. What does that equal? Joseph.
X to the m over y to the m.
Look at that. We nailed it right on the first try. It is x to the m over y to the m. Okay, it's just like the same thing. It's kind of like that whole distributive property. The m is the exponent of both top and bottom. Which means, well, if you had 2/3 to the 3rd power, it is the same thing as 2 to the 3rd power over 3 to the 3rd power, which would be, what, 8 over 27. It's also 2/3 times 2/3 times 2/3, but you would still do that same thing. I think we're ready for some challenging problems, shall we? We shall overcome, as the song goes. Oh, you want to go right for the juggler?
Oh yeah.
Why not?
How many people do you think will get this right?
6.
My guess is 3. See how accurately I am. This comes right out of the practice from the book. 9ab to the negative 2 squared. 9ab to the negative 2 all squared times 2a squared b to the 4th. 2a squared b to the 4th. Now, before you try your endeavor there, make sure you're following order of operations, which means exponents have to be done first. Hope that makes any difference to anybody. Andrew, what you thought? Again, pretty quiet. Back there. Oh wait, did I miss something? I want to make sure I didn't. No, that's what it is, right there. Maybe I'll have somebody come to the board and do it. There's some pressure. Anderson, you done? Or are you picking your nails with your pencil? What are you doing? Well, isn't that helping you in math? Wait, is it already 1:30? Oh, sorry, I was looking at the wrong hand. When you have an answer, please circle it 3 times and put an asterisk next to it. And then draw a smiley face or a frown face based on if you think you got it right or wrong. And draw a stick body with it. Holding a hockey stick. Well, Madison, are you confident in your answer?
Yes.
Should I put you up closer? Could your mom see the board if I put her in the front row? Huh?
This is wonderful.
Who cares to share?
It's wrong, but optional.
John, I'm going to write yours up here just for fun. And I'm going to have you against your sister and see who wins. Ready, John?
Aaron, did you do it?
Aaron won.
I'm sorry, what?
Aaron's gonna win.
No,
She
don't
even
say
did it.
that. She's had a rough day.
36, 8 of the 4th.
Wait, 36 what?
8 of the 4th.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's look at agreeing with John. Don't just if you got it, agree. Raise your hand and agree. Nobody. 2 people. Aaron. 18a to the 4th. Agreeing with Aaron. Uh-oh, Aaron. So far, the Murray children, there are 3 total supporters of your family. Madison.
162, A to the 4th, B.
A to the 4th, B to the 8th. Whoa! Are you kidding me? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Joseph!
162, A to the 4th, B to the 16th.
B to the 16th. Anybody want to join Joe in his quest for perfection? No. I'll take one more. If somebody really thinks they have it. Somebody that doesn't. Emma Miller, I like the confidence.
54, A to the 4th, B to the 5th.
A to the 4th, B to the 5th. Anybody? So far, right now, people are saying maybe this is the answer. Let's try and see what happens here. So the first, what?
Just got rid of the A.
Disappeared.
What did?
The
The answer, it just got rid of it.
This one did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It disappeared.
I don't know what happened there. Let's go with a little purple action here. So really, the first thing you have to do is multiply, get this exponent, which gets distributed out to all of this. So you end up with 9 squared a squared b to the negative fourth, because you multiply them, and 9 squared is 81. Is it not?
Yeah.
So this is 9 squared a squared b to the negative fourth. That's what you get for the first parenthesis. Second parenthesis you don't change, it's not an exponent to an exponent, so you just have to multiply the things together. 2 times 81 is 162. So far if you put 162, sorry, we got the number right. What about the letters? Well, what is a squared times a squared? Yes, it is a to the fourth, sorry, I'm just going to there. A to the fourth. And what is b to the negative fourth times b to the fourth?
0.
Yeah, you add exponents together. B to the 0, which means there is no b at all. That is, which means, unfortunately, all of your little hockey players should have sad faces on it too. Yep.
How did you get for the what was 81? How did you get b to the negative fourth power?
Because exponents, two exponents get multiplied. 2 times the negative 2 is the negative 4. Is it not? Did I do that wrong? Boyd, is that what you had? Were you close? Did you go wrong at the B?
Yeah, I accidentally did 2 times negative 2.
We did do 2 times negative 2. That's where negative 4 came from.
That
And remember what this negative 4 technically should have been is you made it positive by putting it under the fraction, and a b to the fourth times a b to the fourth on the bottom and b fourth on top cross off. So either way you look at it, it's gone. I think we're ready for a challenge, right, Chase?
Yes.
I thought that was the challenge.
Well, you were wrong.
You were very wrong.
I had the right number.
This one I give just about as much hope for. Negative x over 7y to the fifth all to the second power. It's impossible. Man, there's a lot of letters. Just a lot of letters. So much we have not spent time. I don't give us much hope.
You must be working.
I would like you to do your answer in the correct form. So if you can give me a correct answer, that's my favorite. Wait, so not everybody's as fast as you are at math? I'm not sure what the best way to think about this would be for you folk. Anybody relatively confident in their answer? Who did not get an answer in last time that would like to try? Clausing, I don't think we heard from you last time. What do you got for this one?
Negative x squared over 49y to the 10th.
Over 49y to the 10th power. How many like Maya's answer? Finally, wait, be really proud. Raise both your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You can put it down. Does anybody want to disagree and get one of their own? John, you don't want to, you do or don't? All right, let's go John Murray.
I have 49 y to the 10th x to the 2nd.
All in one big line?
Yeah.
Huh. I don't know what to think about that. Anybody, John's, Joseph, you're agreeing? Oh, Andrew, really? You literally got that.
It looks like
So, now, before we go any farther, just because we do have to move on here, probably the easiest way to think about this, children, is just to double the fraction and multiply it by itself. If I can do this. My thing's not working very well. You try it again. Just get it on. 7 y to the 5th times negative x 7 y to the 5th. That's what squaring that means. Correct? And you multiply across. What is a negative x times negative x?
Positive x. Wait, no.
X squared. 7 times 7 is 49. Y to the 5th times y to the 5th is y to the 10th.
Yes, I got it. I finally got one right.
I did it. Yeah.
If you distributed out the exponent, it would have to kind of look like this. Negative x squared over 7 squared y to the 5th squared. So it could still give you that same thing. Remember, this exponent goes for every factor inside of that thing there. I don't know if we've cleared up much in the ways of disillusionment, but your assignment for tomorrow, lesson 41 through 15. I don't give you much hope, but I think you can try. I'm going to guess there's going to be a few questions. A lot of this stuff we just started doing, and there's a lot of letters and a lot of multiplying and a lot of... By the way, for problem number 5, please do not multiply all that out, because it would take you forever. Just give me for what exponent it should be. Does that make sense?